Today's video is a bit different. So I want to wait a second. I'm like a bit blank right now. I just woke up. Obviously, I did not wake up like this because I've got makeup on and I blow dried my hair. That hair doesn't look like this. It looks worse. Welcome everyone to another Witness and Empower. First of all, I wanted to say thank you very much for those who are supporting me in this initiative, and hopefully I can continue to make good content that will teach about love and sexuality as God intended it to be, that will help you to experience authentic womanhood in the 21st century, and also, most importantly, if you are struggling with sexual sin and addictions in that area of your life, then I hope that sharing my experience and everything that I'm sharing of what I've learned about overcoming these addictions and these weaknesses with sexuality will help you also in your own journey towards purity and towards a closer relationship with God. Mother Mary is right beside me, so I want to ask you, Mother Mary, that I may be able to share my witness of healing to any women who are watching this video, and that I may be able to inspire them and I may be able to help them realize that God is right there, always waiting to give His merciful love to them, no matter where they are in their lives right now, no matter what they're going through right now in their struggles, difficulties, that they may continue to persevere in their journey towards a closer relationship towards you, and thus be able to attain heaven. Okay. I'm gonna start by telling you all about my issues with impurity. So, background about myself. As you have heard, I have a really weird accent whenever I talk. I've only been in Australia for 10 years now. So I was actually born in Austria because my parents learned classical music there. And I'm originally Filipino because I don't look European at all, as you can tell. And I lived in Spain for most of my childhood. All my primary school time was there. The moves that I had during my childhood actually played a huge part in my difficulties with sexual sin. So in Spain, I encountered something really weird. My family moved to a new neighborhood while we were in Spain, around maybe when I was in year 4 or year 5. I can't really remember exactly. But the thing that I really remember was when I first met these girls from my neighborhood. They came over to our house one time only. That's what I remember. And what happened was that their way of playing was a bit strange. You know, when you do make-believe when you're little? I don't know where they got the idea from, but they would pretend that they were at the club having sex with guys in their game. We were only like 10 years old. I didn't know what was going on, and I just imitated them. I was introduced to that for somehow, and from there onwards, I don't know how, but I started having issues with masturbation. It was 2007 when my family moved to Australia. I found it really difficult socially, and I just had a lot of anxiety. I've always been a very anxious person since I was a kid, but it did not become such a huge issue until I came to Australia. I felt lonely, especially after my first ever and only high school romance after year 11. And in year 12, because I kept hearing so much about pornography, I decided, out of curiosity, maybe it shouldn't be such a bad thing to have a look at. I looked at it in year 12 and I got hooked and I couldn't get out of it. And I didn't even know why, and I didn't even know what was wrong with it. When you first start, it starts with pleasure. But you don't realize that it just takes you in and it starts molding you. Even though I didn't realize, it started changing my view of how love should look like, what love should be. Love is about putting others first, about others' dignity, about respect and all of that, right? But what porn does is that it takes the human body and it perverts it. It becomes an object, and that's how I viewed myself in the end and how I viewed other people. Everyone is an object for people's gratification, for people to take advantage of for an end. It's horrible actually thinking about it, that my mind was actually getting poisoned by all of this. And on top of that, I thought about love in a different way. If you want to be loved, you need to put yourself out there. You have to expose yourself. You have to be sexy. I still have the issues with masturbation. I had issues with porn addiction from then onwards, which was around 2012. I only had probably 2 serious relationships during that whole time. My high school relationship and then my relationship during uni, which were both very physically centered. But unlike other girls who've had this problem with physical intimacy, the problem didn't lie with those guys, it actually lied with me, because I thought this was what love looked like. So if I'm in a relationship with these guys, I have to define it by having the physical relationships, which is not true at all. That's not what a relationship is. But I didn't know any better. So when it turned around for me was a year later. I was luckily living at the house of a friend of mine. She invited me to an event on bioethics, and they were talking about IVF specifically. At the time, I was very pro gay marriage, very pro IVF, very pro abortion. But on that bioethics night, my view changed completely about love and sexuality. The woman who was presenting the bioethics talk said, the beautiful thing about a man and a woman's relationship is that when they come together in marriage and they consume their marriage vows by the physical language of love, which is sex, the product of that physical encounter of love is a child. And that child is a miracle, is the miracle of love. Sexuality is the most beautiful and wonderful gift of God. And that's the beautiful thing that she made me realize that night. Love and sexuality are a gift from God, and such a beautiful gift, because from that a miracle of birth, of a new life, comes into being. I started realizing I've been using my sexuality in the wrong way. I've been viewing my own body in the wrong way. I've been viewing guys' bodies in the wrong way as well. And I've been interacting in my relationships the wrong way. I've been able to detoxify myself from those sexual addictions since 2 years ago, and it's wonderful. In 2016, I took a dating fast. During that year, I vowed to God that I would take the whole year off from seeing any guys seriously, to think about any serious relationships, and I vowed that I would, in a sense, date God. I went to adoration more. I went to confession every single week. I try to foster a habit to go to mass every single day as well. I did quite a lot to be able to detoxify from these things. But the very big thing for me was the education that I gave myself about love and sexuality, to learn more about what love consists of, and how to love others without objectifying, without thinking of them as kind of options in a sense. The most great thing that happened to me that year was that I started going to the Catholic Society and getting involved, and it was beautiful because from there I learned how to interact with guys like they were my brothers. These people, the girls and the guys, they taught me how it is to be loved purely. I learned that I can be cared for and I can be respected, and that I do have a dignity. And those people, they're the closest to my heart. I have such a soft spot for Catholic chaplaincies in universities because they can become such a great support network. Those people never knew about my issues with impurity, but I always felt like I could be there and not be judged and just be there as myself. And I was able to learn how to love authentically. So those are some of the things that I had in place in my life that God was so good to bless me with, to be able to overcome these struggles. If you are someone who's going through difficulties with sexual addiction, porn addiction, masturbation, lust, which I can tell you I had those problems and I still do, I'm still persevering, the most important thing is continue with that relationship with God. He is the only one who can truly heal you completely. He can't remove those experiences from you, but he can mend that heart, that broken heart that has been crumpled up by the poison of those sexual sins that have taken over your life. He has done it for me and he's still doing it for me. The most important thing I can tell you is perseverance. Perseverance. See, the word is here. Never lose hope, never get discouraged that you won't be able to overcome these things. This year I decided to read more books. I'm really bad with reading, so I read this small one called Theology of the Body Made Simple, and I saw this quote that may be good for you to think about because it made me feel so much more encouragement to continue to persevere in my own journey towards purity. The author is Anthony Percy. So here it says, sexual sin is always serious because of who we are. We are temples of the Holy Spirit. But sexual sins are usually sins of weakness. They are often not sins of malice. When I read it, I was going through some difficulties. I was thinking, oh my goodness, like I'm never gonna be able to be good. I'm gonna always have this difficulties to carry with me in the area of impurity. But reading that, it made me realize the devil wants you to think you're a bad person so he can separate you from God. But the truth is that we are just weak. Weakness does not mean that you are a bad person. It just means that you are human. You are not God, but God knows that. You are a child of God, and He is there to be able to give you the strength to overcome what you're going through right now. And whatever your difficulty is right now, you can entrust God with those. And most especially, like, you can ask for her intercession there. She's always so sweet. Mother Mary is the greatest image of authentic purity, authentic love, authentic peace, authentic joy. God created her, so us women, we can look up to her as well. And all of us, we can ask for her help to get closer to Jesus. So I hope that today, by being very authentic with you about my healing process and my journey through purity, it can help you to realize that you are not alone in this. We all struggle, and that you can get through this. You can overcome this as long as you go to God for help. Don't let shame silence you and isolate you from those who can love and support you through this struggle. So just remember, God says this, and you should tell this yourself actually. So when I say this thing, you repeat this to yourself. I am beautiful. I am worthy. I am loved because God loved me first. Thank Thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Do, 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 do.